Hello and welcome to this, our very special live stream on the Lord of Steel and Sky. These Wednesday live streams are unique. Okay, they are unique. We don't take your questions on these ones on ancient Egypt or the Bible unless it relates to the book. So this is a special Wednesday live stream that we usually do 1 month after we released a novel. Okay, so we release a novel, and then we give you guys a month to read it, and then we allow you to come on and ask whatever questions you want about the book. And in these ones, we even allow people to come on in too. So I will put that link, StreamYard link up as well. StreamYard link. Dang, it's not Friday yet. Well, nothing's perfect. Hey, but it is the end of the world today. We've had a solar eclipse, the Perseid meteor shower, auroras from a solar storm. It's the end of the world. Ryan going up again? Yeah, again. How many end of the worlds have we lived through now? Okay. So the rules of this are going to be pretty straightforward, which is that I need to pin this. Oh, please pin message. There we go. The rules are essentially you can ask questions about the books, all three books. We'll allow you to ask questions about all three books. Writing in general, the publishing industry, anything sort of related to literature, we'll field that. Anything specific about, say, ancient Egypt or the Bible, we ask you to hold those questions off until the Friday live stream. Okay, so and we're just going to go through all the questions. Now, we did have a technical glitch earlier in the day, so we did lose one question from Golden Wind. If Golden Wind is listening, please report that, repost that, because as I recall, it was a pretty good question, but we lost it because of a technical glitch. So yeah, we've had a lot of technical glitches on this when going directly through StreamYard like this. It's not a great platform for us, so we tend to do things differently. But that's what we got today, so that's what we're going to do. Here we see the cover of the book. Now, the first thing probably everyone wants to know, what's the next book? What's the very, very next book? We have already got a cover for that. So here's your big reveal. That is book 4, Fallen Star. And that's going to be coming out on November 14th. So that's pretty awesome. Okay. Dang, I'm still working. Yeah, well. Oops, that should have shut off. Yeah, we'll remove that. We'll remove all that stuff. Stage, this too. Move. All right, next on. Okay. That said, let's get into our first set of questions. First one here is from King Bubby. How are mega AIs powered, and how is the fuel obtained? Okay, great question. We're going to get into some very crunchy sci-fi stuff and a little bit of crunchy science stuff too at the beginning of this. The mega AIs are powered by antimatter reactors. Okay, so anti-helium. So in order to do that, what you have to do is you have to get helium. Now, there isn't a whole lot of helium out there. So what the mega AIs do is they have a hydrogen scoop. they scoop up hydrogen. Hydrogen's very abundant. And then they basically take the hydrogen, fuse it into helium, and that takes about four megajoules of electricity or of power. And then it goes through a nucleon destabilization process that turns the helium into both helium and antihelium, which is separated by electric charge. And then those nucleons are recombined in an antimatter reaction. And that antimatter reaction produces, I believe, 3 gigajoules of electricity. So it's like it's almost a 900 900 times energy output for the energy put into it. So basically that's the power system. It uses just antimatter. So as long as you've got an economical way of producing antimatter, the energy equation works out. So basically, they scoop up hydrogen, convert it to helium and antihelium, and then recombine the antimatter and matter nucleons to produce energy, and a lot of it. So I hope that answered the question, but that's the crunchy science fiction stuff. Okay, next one here is also from King Bubby. How advanced has medical technology become between now and the time of the novel? Most diseases have been eradicated. Cancer has been cured. They now have a synthetic blood alternative. So there's a lot of technological advances that have taken place. You are talking about, say, a 500-year difference between the events of the novel and now. So we would have expected most of, say, communicable diseases, that sort of thing, would have been cured within a reasonable amount of that time. Things that can't be fixed, there's still going to be things such as injury, trauma, injuries. Those are things you just can't fix with anything short of, say, surgical interventions. So yes, definitely. There's a lot of advances that have been made, and medicine still, though, has its basically needle and thread aspects. So, okay. Third question here is also from King Bubby. Have new dialects or daughter languages of English or new Creole languages formed on the colonies? Not so much. And the reason why is the colonies keep getting, they tend to be relatively small. And there's a lot of people being imported or exported to the colonies. So language tends to, under those circumstances, be a little more stable. Where you do find new languages and new Creoles is still on Earth. Earth is still a place where, say, culture is going to have those large cultural shifts and changes in society that will produce new languages. So you're going to get new languages and dialects on Earth, but less so in the colonies. We see something like this happen actually with French. French, this happened, where, the French started sending out colonies all over the world. And the colony in Quebec had basically an ossified kind of French. It stagnated. Whereas French in, say, Paris continued to change and develop. So colonies are not exactly the greatest producers of new languages. They sort of many times take a snapshot of the old and entrench the old. And that's sort of the paradigm we figured would be happening here, is that the colonies would not be producing new languages. Now there are new languages. They're just not in the colonies. Okay. Next one here. King Bubby asks, what do you think of the idea of a graphic novel adaptation of the War of the Gods series? I'd love it. I just would like an artist who's reasonably competent to do it.
And it's got to be an authorized.
And it has to be an authorized graphic novel adaptation, as Mrs. Producer reminded me here. But yeah, I'd love it as a graphic novel or a manga. That would be fantastic. CPM versus DOS. It needs to be a manga. Cool. Yeah, I'm all for that.
But if you want to do it,
I'm not going to do it myself. I'm way too slow at drawing to do it myself. So yeah, I'm favorable to the idea. Okay, question 5. Is medicine and biotechnology advanced enough that replacement tissues, organs, and limbs can be cloned to replace those that have been lost to disease or injury? Organs, yes. Limbs, not so much. Limbs are really hard to grow. I mean, if you're an axolotl salamander, that's no problem. For human beings, replacement limbs are very difficult. Part of the problem with organs is kind of one size fits all. The problem with growing replacement limbs is that replacement limbs are sort of custom grown for individuals when you develop them. So it's actually technically a lot more difficult to grow replacement limbs than it is to have, say, replacement organs. They're already doing some lab-grown organs already. So I can see that process developing. The problem with limbs is you kind of need them grown to size. That's hard. Because no one wants a leg that's 4 inches too short.
measure twice.
Yeah, measure twice, build once. So yeah, it's much more complicated to do a replacement limb than it is a replacement organ. Okay, so that's the. We should let you know, guys, that we got actually a lot of questions today. A lot of them came in. So, King Bubby, what is the maximum human lifespan by the time of Book 3? It's 150 years. Humans can live to 150 years, but that's exceptional. That's highly unusual, even in that period of time. The thing with human lifespan is we pretty much reach the end of the longevity dividend. Say transhumanist studies have actually taken a look at this to see how much more lifespan can we extend human longevity. And it turns out it's not going to be by much more. We've already cashed in the longevity diet dividend that comes from, say, better diet. So we've cashed that. Okay, that's already done. So there's not much more we can get through better diet. So the only thing that remains is stuff like replacement organs, cures for diseases like cancer, general wear and tear. They might be able to extend it a lot longer if they fix the telomere issue. If science is able to fix the telomere issue, human longevity could be substantially longer. Okay, but we're just assuming in my novels that they haven't fixed the telomere problem. And for those of you that don't know what the telomere problem is, there's these little pieces of ribonucleic acid on the end of your chromosomes called telomeres. What happens is your cells keep dividing until essentially the telomeres break off. Once the telomeres break off, your cells stop dividing and you start undergoing natural aging and cell death. Okay, so that's the telomere problem. And you can't have basically eternally reproducing cells as long as those telomeres are broken off through replication. So that's the maximum human lifespan is 150 years. Next one, King Bubby. Will book 4 focus on Erish or Thomas Paul? No, it won't. It's going to focus on a different character. And right now that book is being read by our beta readers. So thank you very much, beta readers. You guys make this book good. You know, I might write it, but you guys make it look good. So I couldn't do this without my beta readers, and I treasure all of you because, yeah, there's no great authors. There's only great beta readers. So, okay. But no, book 4 we're not going to go back to Erish and Thomas Paul until probably book 7. Are there any Easter eggs in book 3 in the previous books? Oh yeah, tons of them. We got tons of Easter eggs. We've got Doctor Who references, Star Trek references, Bible references. Yeah, there's all sorts of Easter eggs all over the place in the books. It would be kind of hard to narrow it down to just one. Mama says, first book, 7 mention. Yeah. CPM versus DOS, based beta readers. Absolutely. I have got the best beta readers in the world. My beta readers are fantastic. Okay, next one here.
You do have that first book 7 mention. CPM versus DOS is book 9.
We don't have any thoughts about book 9 yet, or if there is going to be a book 9. Okay. Harry Stark asks, is the woman on the cover modeled after someone? Yes. Yes, it is. I got the idea for Alicia, and if you didn't know, that's Alicia Stripes on the cover. I got the idea for Alicia Stripes. There was when I worked at Oracle Corporation, and there was this woman, redheaded woman, kind of barrel shaped. She was a security guard. I never talked to her, never met her, don't know her name. Don't know who she is.
You see Mama's comment? Adele.
Adele. No, it's not Adele. Because if it was, there'd be a revenge song coming sometime soon. That's the only song she sings, isn't it? Revenge songs?
Oh, that would be hysterical. We need to write an Alicia Stripes.
Write an Alicia Stripes revenge song? CPM versus DOS, the Oracle security guard. Yeah. Yeah, she was on the she was one of the security guards at Oracle Corporation. So I said, don't know who she was, didn't ask. I just kind of, thought, oh, what would it be if this person was in outer space and a space marine? Okay, so that's kind of where I got the idea of Alicia Stripes from, is from a security guard at Oracle Corporation.
Who knows? Maybe she'll find out through some weird live stream. Hey, you used to work at Oracle.
Yeah, she might find out through this live stream. Who knows? You never know. It is an awfully small world. Mama goes, I thought that was Taylor Swift. She does it too. Yeah. I mean, was it an Adele song? Was Hello? I think that was one of her revenge songs. Yeah, something like that.
Awesome. Glad that's how you envision people. Space Marines.
CPM versus DOS. I'm glad that's how you envision people, as Space Marines. Based. Yeah. And when you let your imagination just run wild, it's like, I mean, it's an exercise. You get on a bus, you see a person that's sitting across from you, and you start imagining a life story for that person. That's a great writing exercise. So
we're all Space Marines at heart.
CPM versus DOS. We are all Space Marines at heart. Maybe. All right, next one here is from Harry Stark. Has David drawn any pictures of the characters in book 3? In book 3, the only one that I have drawn a picture of in book 3 is Kerpouty. He's the only one I've actually drawn pictures of.
And you can get him if you buy the hardcover, right?
Yes, he is on the hardcover on the inside of the cover. Here we go. All right. Let's take off the dust jacket here. There you go. The Idol of Kerpouty. That's my drawing. But I have drawn pictures of other characters in the series. Like I have drawn pictures of Neva. I have drawn pictures of Sloppy. I think I even drew one of Ma'at at one point. But CPM versus DOS. I do love the secondary cover on the hardcovers. I do too. I think that's wonderful. And I love it because the secondary cover does not have to be uniform. So, while your dust jackets all have to look kind of the same, your inside cover can be something radically different. And I love that. I absolutely love that, because that's where I get to slip in a little bit of extra creativity. CPM goes sloppy pics. Yeah, I posted one on the Discord. Also showed it on the channel on the live stream last week. So yeah.
Sloppy's not on the top.
No, he's not on the top. No. CPM versus DOS. You did? I missed that. Fell asleep. Oh, well, you snooze, you lose.
I was just going to add that. Useless.
All right, next question here. It's from Kim Bubby. Have the rebels built their own extraterrestrial mining infrastructure to extract resources from exoplanets and asteroids, or anything like a Dyson swarm to power their fleet? Okay. Mining operations, yes. Everybody in this universe does their own mining operations. You just get some Class F servitors to start doing your mining for you. That's standard colonization equipment, and the rebels would have had that too. Dyson swarms, not so much. Dyson swarms are expensive and very inefficient. So Dyson swarms do not actually make good terraforming equipment. So by the time you've put the resources into making the Dyson swarm, your return on investment's very low. So they just don't. Dyson swarms just don't make good mining operations. They don't make good resource extraction operations. They're just not that useful, especially if you got cheap power. If you've got really, really cheap power, like you could do with antimatter conversion, Dyson swarms don't buy you any much of anything. So that's kind of why we didn't do that technology. All right, next one here. Is our first super chat here from Frog Paste for $5. Thank you very much for the super chat. Are there any? Is there a scene you're especially proud of? I gotta say, I love the ending to book 3. Okay, I just really, it's a good redemption story. Okay, and it has all the characteristics of an excellent redemption arc. You know, she's got a wrong belief at the beginning. She does some terrible things, but she comes to realize the error of her ways and shows true contrition at the end. So yeah, the ending scene I'm really, really liked. And the ending to book 3 was very difficult. It was very difficult to do the ending of book 3. It took us like 21 drafts. 21 drafts to get the ending for book 3 right. So it took a long time to do it. So at least to sort of iron it out. So I'm very, very proud of that ending of book 3. Next one by Frog Paste. Which scene was difficult to write and why? Well, the Primordial Gods scene was very, very difficult for book 3 because there was a huge temptation in writing Alicia to make her a Mary Sue. You know, she is competent. She is very, very competent in her own right. So it was very difficult to not make her a Mary Sue. And for those of you who don't know, a Mary Sue is a type of character that you see very commonly these days, where, you know, she arrives out of the birth canal knowing everything. Perfect, beautiful, knows kung fu. Fifth level black belt, but never trained a day. Has no flaws. Is given the key to the city. Won a beauty pageant.
And
has a great car mechanic on top of it. Yeah, and can beat a room full of men. Yeah, that's it is very tempting to write a character like Alicia as a Mary Sue. So a lot of the redrafting was to add the flaws she needed to make her a compelling character. Yes, she's a jerk. Everybody recognizes she's a jerk. But you end up loving her for it. She's relatable. She's incredibly relatable. You know, she's got problems. She's got traumas. She's got a messed up family life. She's got a messed up career. And Emmanuel cooks a perfect souffle too. Yeah, exactly. CPM versus DOS. I've seen a ton of Mary Sue's recently in books. Oh yeah, you see them everywhere right now. Mama says she is incredibly awkward. Yeah, she's got character flaws. She's got large redeeming qualities though that make up for her character flaws. But boy, those character flaws are just something else. CPM versus Dust. Sloppy is a Gary stew, but he deserves it. Oh, he's got his flaws too. He's got his flaws. Sloppy has major flaws. Like, he's a chef that can't taste. CPM versus Dawson. What? That bread is perfect. All 131 loaves of bread. Perfect. Yeah. Mama says, over 300 tries at baking bread that's edible. Yeah. CPM versus DOS. Sorry, I simp for Sloppy. People love Sloppy. People love that character. Absolutely adore that character. That's something that took me by surprise. I did not expect a character that looked like a stack of toasters to be so people like so much. Yeah, that one came completely out of the blue.
He works hard for the charging.
Mama goes, he works hard for the charging.
Yeah.
He tries. I mean, he really tries. You know, he's very dedicated to his craft. He just doesn't do it well. Mama goes, he has passion and ambition. Yeah, he is. He's very passionate about it. And very ambitious, too. Not very good. That changes somewhat. He improves. But he has a difficult learning process. All right, next one here. From Frog Paste for $5. Thank you for that super chat. Did any characters turn out differently than you initially expected? Oh, yes. Alicia. Much, much different than I expected. I always sort of expected Alicia to have I always expected her to be a kind of a betrayal character. That I always expected. But I didn't expect her to be more broken and more complex than I had originally envisioned her to be. She turned out to be a very, very complicated, nuanced, and at the same time, very human and broken character. So that was really unexpected how she turned out. I more or less designed her to be the Dr. Watson to Pierre Sherlock. So she was supposed to be a Dr. Watson figure. But she ended up being so much more. So much more.
Four-dimensional.
Mama adds here, she is four-dimensional. Yes, she is. She's very complicated. Yeah. Layers upon layers. Yeah, she has layers. yeah, that's the one I think. AJ Higgins, and we are thankful. Yeah, Alicia is the one character that I started off not having great plans for. I mean, yes, there was going to be betrayal there, but I did not expect her to become so nuanced and complex. So yeah, I'm very happy about that. I'm very happy how she turned out. Okay, next super chat here is from Frog Paste for $5. Thank you for the super chat. He says, what criticism from any of the first 3 books came from readers' misunderstanding and intentional choice you made? Okay, that's a great question. I got a critical review for book 3. Okay. And the big complaint was, now you notice the subtitle, War of the Gods, plural. Okay, War of the Gods, plural. The big complaint was that this book only had one primordial god in it. So the big complaint is, why is this called War of the Gods? It should be called War of the God. Well, there's not one god in there. There's 2. And there's actually several more that are mentioned, but there's 2. There's Karapauti, and then there's the Lord of Steel and Sky. There's 2 gods in that book. And it was an intentional choice to make the action of the second one happening under the surface. It's all subtextual. So, there's a declaration near the end where Alicia realizes she's being manipulated by a primordial god, but it's not Karapauti. So, and where did I get this idea from? To have a major character that never shows up and never says a word of dialogue. I got that from Tolkien. Okay. The Lord of the Rings. Okay. In the Lord of the Rings never appears in the book. Never says a single line of dialogue. And it's very effective. For those of you who have not read The Lord of the Rings and have been living under a rock for the past 50 years, The Lord of the Rings is Sauron. It's not Frodo. Okay? Frodo's not the Lord of the Rings. Sauron is. And Sauron never has a word of dialogue, never makes any sort of appearance, but he's the guy pulling the strings. So I took that concept and said, okay, Lord of Steel and Sky. He's one of the good guys, but he's underneath the surface, pulling the strings, and you never ever see him. So the reviewer missed, and that was an intentional choice to not have him just show up and speak. But that whole sort of, that critical review, looked at my book, said, oh, there's only one God here, not realizing everything that was happening under the surface, the subtext. So, and that was an intentional literary choice. It was an intentional choice to make that character unseen. But
Jack Ray's comment, Samwise Gamgee was the final Lord of the Rings.
Jack Ray says Samwise Gamgee was the final Lord of the Rings. I thought that was Gollum. Gollum was the final ring holder.
Yeah. Up until his last breath.
Yeah, up until his last breath, Gollum was the final ring holder. Mama says sneaky, sneaky. Good literature's like that, though. Good literature relies on subtext. Subtext is gold.
Didn't he bite off Frodo's finger holding the ring, though?
Gollum did, yeah.
So technically, Frodo's still the last bearer of the ring. Gollum was just the bearer of the finger that held the ring.
But yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, that was an intentional literary choice to make one of the characters highly subtextual. And the reviewer just didn't get it. Did not get it at all. So you can't rely on book reviewers to understand, or any book reader to get everything. But I would have thought that one kind of would have been obvious. Just saying. I mean, they are talking about loss all over the place in the book. Loss. If you haven't read the book, you'll get it eventually. But apparently this guy didn't, so. Okay. Moving on here to the next question. Actually, I'm going to take these in order here. Doc Hogan, if you could go back and change anything about books 1 and 2, what would you change? Really not much. Books 1 and 2, I might tweak some of the formulas a bit. But that would be probably it. Maybe conform some of the there's 1 or 2 dialogue pieces of NACO 32 in book 2 I might have wanted to tweak a little, but really those are very minor details. The thing is, I wrote 1 and 2 together at the same time. And I was already in the planning of book 3 when 2 came out. So I was already there's such overlap in the way I write books. I don't write books one at a time. I overlap them as I write them. So 1 and 2 was written at the same time. The end of 2 and the beginning of 3 at the same time. There's a break where I wasn't working on anything between 3 and 4, but 4, 5, and 6 are being written at the same time. So, so when you do that, sort of write books in clusters like that, you know where everything's going. You know where everything's going. You know where people need to be. So you don't have to actually change as much when you do that. Jack adds here, like Back to the Future Part 2 and Part 3 filmed at the same time and released about 6 months apart. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and if you do that, you know where everything is and where everything should be. A sloppy appearance in book 1. People want sloppy. Retcon sloppy back into book 1. Oh boy. Yeah, good times. Good times. All right, next one here. Doc Hogan says, mechs seem to use a mix of Earth culture and their own. Yes, they do. How do you determine what metaphors and descriptions mechanical uses in their point of views? How much do androids know about human culture? they actually know a fair bit about human culture. And the reason they know a fair bit about human culture is because it's part of their base programming, particularly Class Bs and Class Cs. Now, if you're not aware of the Android class system, a Class B, those are your middle manager, administrator types. Class Cs are your service workers like baristas. Okay? Those classes of robots had to have an extensive knowledge of human culture in order to do their jobs. Like, for example, many of them might have worked in call centers or delivery centers, or, as I said, as baristas. They might have had to do food deliveries. So they would have to know streets and basic geography of Earth. They would have to know a bit about culture and food. Class Cs would have to know a fair bit about food. So, like, for example, if they were working at KFC, and some of them would have worked at KFC, they would have worked at as I say, doing barista work. They'd have to know the difference between spicy and regular fried chicken. That's part of their base programming. Now, as all that programming got put in over the centuries, they didn't take it out. They didn't take it out because it's too much work to take out that extra lines of code. So they just left it there. So the metaphors are going to boil down to this. The first Class C, the human personality model, basically the synthetic brain, was developed in 2203. The armistice of the Fourth World War that led to their exile is in 2320. So about 117 years difference. Anything they learned from Earth up to 2320 is fair game. Anything after that, they would have probably no knowledge of, unless they get it secondhand through video feeds to their great AIs, to the mega AIs. Okay, so they're going to be aware of, say, what Earth climate is like up to 2203. But they're going to be very unfamiliar with the events that happened after that, like the Ice Age. One of the things that happens in the books is that Earth goes through a severe global cooling. You know, Vancouver becomes glaciated. Chicago becomes glaciated. Kansas spends half the year in snow-covered. Global cooling becomes very, very serious in 2598 when the events of Book 3 start. So androids are not going to have much knowledge of what it's like to live in a cold region like that, because the Earth wasn't like that when they were still living on it. But they're going to still have all that information of human culture that goes into Jack Ray. Mississippi finally gets freezing in the winter. Yeah, it does.
No, it just, with all that humidity, it just freezes. Solid block.
There's another side effect of global cooling too, which is there's no more hurricanes.
Yeah, you mentioned that once.
Yeah, when the temperatures cool, the amount of hurricanes decreases. So you get less hurricanes and typhoons.
So we can finally move to Florida, but there won't be any sunshine.
Yeah, you'll go to Florida, but there won't be any sunshine, no.
Can move to Florida. It'd be safe, but there's no reason to.
There's no reason to go to Florida at that point, yeah. Yeah, pure ice block, yeah. Yeah, so global cooling is going to hit Earth hard. Farmhouse Theologian asks, what's happening in Australia in 2595? In 2595, Australia gets really cold. Really, really cold. I hope you have a parka. Yeah, any of those sort of close to the polar regions are going to get really hammered with cold. So yeah, you're gonna get very, very familiar with parkas and mittens and frostbite. Frostbite in Sydney.
Their Santa will turn the red suited European version instead of the beach towels.
Yeah, Santa will actually be wearing his red business suit, not his beach towel and surfboard. So today, basically, yeah, probably. I don't know what the weather is right now in Australia and Sydney, but here right now it's hot. We're going through a heat wave at the moment. CPM versus DOS. The spiders will adapt. The spiders will always adapt. Not as much as the snakes, though. Yeah, just look out for those sewer vipers. Okay, moving on here. So yeah, the robots are going to have a lot of, say, background information. That's just part of their base programming. And even the corrupt androids are going to have that too, because it's just too much work to take that out. Next question here. Mechs seem to next one. That's books 2 and 3 are heavy on robots and humans team up and work together. Will we get another archaeology but in space like book 1? Yes, we will. That will be in book 6. Yes, we're going to get another archaeology but in space book. Okay. Technically, book 4 is like that too. That is going to be very much. Book 4 is kind of anthropology, but in space. Okay, so you're going to get anthropology, but in space in book 4, and you're going to get archaeology, but in space in book 6. So the archaeology is coming back. Okay, we're just taking a little detour here. So that's returning. Okay, and then we got the follow-up question here from Doc Hogan again. In Chapter 12, from Yuri's point of view, she describes neck-tanking bullets, quote, like winter monsoons in Death Valley, end quote. Where did Yuri learn about Death Valley? That's part of her base programming. Now, here's the irony of that. There's actually an irony to that metaphor, okay? That simile. She only knows about that because of her base programming. But when she is born in 2598, Death Valley is not a desert anymore. Death Valley is basically a flower, trees, grasslands. It's fertile. It's no longer a desert.
Bambi running around.
Yeah, Bambi running around Death Valley, yeah. So that's sort of the irony of this, is you're kind of thinking here, oh, the irony is how would an android know this? The real irony is that she doesn't know about the Ice Age and the effects that has on Earth. So her knowledge is limited to her base programming. So anything that she would have known about prior to 2320, she'll know because of base programming. But in the base programming, Death Valley's a desert. In 2598, Death Valley is a forested area. A forested area with a creek running through it, beautiful flowers and brushes, beavers, deer. Very nice place. Okay. Okay, next one here is from AJ Higgins for $2. Thank you for the super chat. How do you plot convincing narrative? Okay. I don't plot it. Okay. I let plot unfold. Now, there's only two plots. Stranger walks into town and a guy has a party. Those are the two plots. Every other story is basically a variation of one of those two plots. That's why no one talks about plot. Convincing narrative is different than plot. A convincing narrative comes down to sensory details. You can make a narrative convincing by filling it with sensory details. And I'd say, sight is the obvious one. But there's other sensory details you can put in, like hearing, taste, smell, touch. Oh my gosh. More writers now are starting to do stuff like taste, but touch. People almost never describe touch in narrative. You touch the metal, it's smooth, it's cold. Touch the skin of an alien and it's sticky and damp. Those sort of sensory details are things people relate to. The smell of garlic. You got to crack open some garlic and you can smell that. It's why, as I said, I do keep things like essential oils on my desk. It's not because I'm a hippie. I might be a hippie, but you don't know that I'm a hippie. But really, if I want a sensory detail to be come to mind, like for example, lemongrass here. Smell it. It smells a little lemony, but also grassy. All right, Mrs. Producer wants to smell too now. Stuff like that can be very evocative. You can take someone transport them into your story by discussing the lesser known details. They've done studies of this, and they've discovered that the one sense that evokes memory the strongest is smell. You can walk into a person's home, get hit by the smell of cinnamon, and be taken back to your grandmother's kitchen. Smell is the strongest sense for getting people hooked into a feeling or emotion. Farhouse theologian. It's not that I'm a hippie. Well, I might be a hippie. You don't know that I'm a hippie. I think that one's going to haunt me for a while. Oh, boy. All right, so let's get back to it here. But yeah, that's how you make narrative compelling, convincing, is you put all those sensory details. And the more sensory details you stick into a passage of writing, the more compelling it becomes. And specific details, not general details. You basically will walk into a you could just tell the reader, hey, it's fall and the leaves are falling. No. Describe it. It's a cascade of brittle sheets of red fiery leather or something like that. You just there's ways you can describe things that just make things more evocative. Concrete details are everything. Well, I would say lemongrass smells lemony and grassy because it's lemongrass. Yeah, exactly. But cedar oil, that can give you a sense of being in the outdoors, in the woods. So there's many smells and sensory details that we just that add to a narrative by their inclusion. Jack Ray says music is far more evoking for me than smell. It can be more evoking than smell, but it's also much more difficult to describe. You can describe it. You can describe the beat, the meter, that sort of thing. But sorry, we are not going to be taking unrelated questions on Egypt and the Bible tonight. So we're not going to be taking this question. So this is just a reminder that this is just about this. Tonight's stuff is about the books, about the fiction series, literature, etc. If you want to ask those questions like this, please repost it on Friday's live stream. All right, next one here. CPM versus DOS for $10. Thank you for that super chat. What was the hardest chapter to write? Okay. I will say this. There's actually not a chapter no chapter was particularly hard to write, but there are sections that are hard to write. Let me give you one section that was very, very difficult for me to write. Was the death of Laura. The death of Laura was only about 3 paragraphs, and it took me 3 days to write it. Because every time I started writing it, I would break down in tears. And if you haven't read that section in book 2, ooh, ouch. Yeah, that's not a happy 3 paragraphs. Yeah. It's one of those things that we writers call this the most memorable moment. Okay. Every book, every movie that sort of sticks with you has a most memorable moment. And it's the moment that sticks with you. Okay. If you don't remember it, the most memorable moment, then you haven't in a book, your book's going to get forgotten. Okay. You need a most memorable moment. And for book 2, the death of Laura was the most memorable moment. And it's hard to read through. It was hard to write. CPM versus DOS. Oh, I have. Mama says, Doc, it was freaking traumatic. I cried reading it. Yeah. It's the stuff. It's the quote, stuff got real, end quote moment. Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. It's the killing John Wick's dog moment. It's that thing. And we had one reader comment, I just read The Death of Laura. I am unwell. Wow, that was quite a way of expressing that. But if that was a hard scene to write, it was difficult to write. It was it took me, as I say, 3 days to rough draft it. It wasn't technically difficult to do. It was emotionally very difficult to do. So, yeah. That was the most difficult section of the whole series to write. Was those 3 paragraphs on the death of Laura, bar none. And it was, as I said, it was emotionally difficult to do, because you get very attached to her very quickly. She's just got an effervescent nature that's, it's like
She's a puppy.
She's a puppy. She's a puppy.
Very eager to please, very excited, very happy.
Yeah, very happy, very eager to please. Just a delightful being. Okay, so that was the hardest section for me to write by far. The other ones may have been technically difficult, like the ending of book 3 was technically difficult, but it wasn't emotionally difficult. All right, next one here. CPM versus DOS for $2. Best wine to pair with books. Ooh. Always go with a red wine. A hearty red wine for reading books. A well-aged Bordeaux works great. Try a Burgundy. Burgundy with books goes really well too. Something with body. Okay, something with a little body. So a light crisp wine does not work so well with books, but something with a little bit of body to it. You could go with a dessert wine. Dessert wines would work. I would probably go for, if I was to do a dessert wine with a book, I'd probably more go with an orange muscat than I would say with an ice wine. Ice wines are too clawingly sweet for book reading. At least an orange muscat is sippable. It has body. It's sippable. Definitely an orange muscat would work fine. I wouldn't do the ice wines. Not for that. I'm not a huge fan of ice wines anyway. I think they're very overrated. Okay. There's our wine recommendation for the night.
Foodie section fulfilled.
Foodie section fulfilled. CPM versus DOS says, I also feel that Japanese whiskey went well with book 1. Tested it and went well. Yeah, I can see Japanese whiskey. Yeah, whiskey with it would be fine. Yeah. We were specifically asked about a wine recommendation, but I would say any whiskey would go great. Okay. Let's see what's next here. Okay, there we go. AJ Higgins asks, what was the experience in writing your first ever novel? My first ever novel? Like the one I wrote in like grade school? Not grade school, high school. Yeah, that wasn't a good experience. My first novel was terrible. Terrible. It was so awful. It was a fantasy novel, and it was junk. And it deserved to face the bottom of a round file and never see the light of day ever again. My first 3 novels were crap. The fourth novel was less like crap. The 5th one is what I actually ended up publishing. So, yeah, my first. I'm a big believer that you've got to get the garbage out of your system, and then once you do that, you start writing good stuff. Yeah, there was a lot of garbage in my system that needed to get out. So, writing your first novel is an achievement. It's always an achievement. It's like running your first marathon. Okay? If you run your first marathon, unless you've trained rigorously for it by doing other marathons, you're going to not do it very well. And it's going to be painful. But you're going to learn from it, and you're going to grow with it. Doing your first novel is a growth experience. It's CPM versus DOS. What? You didn't just win the first time? I know, it's unbelievable, People have to learn and practice before getting up on a stage and playing music too. I can't understand why they just can't pick up a musical instrument and play. Funny that. Yeah. Writing is a craft. It's a craft that takes time, patience, and experience. And if you don't put the time in to learn the craft, it's just gonna be bad. And I think a lot of authors make the mistake of going to press too early. I'm all for indie publishing. I like indie publishing. Having dealt with the pain in the butt of traditional publishing, I much prefer self-publishing over dealing with a publisher. Okay, so I'm all for indie publishing. I'm not so much for people just going directly to indie, even when their stuff is bad. So, yeah, people need to work on the craft before they publish. And again, beta readers. I'm going to say it over and over again. Beta readers. Get your beta readers in line. Get a good group of beta readers around you who will tell you the unvarnished truth, who will tell you your book is garbage. Because that's the only way you learn. That's the only way you learn. That's the only way you improve your craft, is by having honest beta readers that will do you this service of telling you when a scene doesn't work. When a scene doesn't work, you need a good, honest beta reader to give you that kick in the butt to say, hey, wake up, author. yeah, you put this to press, you're just going to embarrass yourself. Don't do that. So beta readers are gold.
If somebody gives you that advice.
Yeah. Yeah. If someone is giving you that advice, that's because they want the best for you in your book. And that's what we all want, is a good story. You know, authors want a good story, readers want a good story. And the only way you get that is through the honest feedback of the beta readers. Because not everything's good. Even experienced, you know, I even heard Stephen King say this. You know, even he said this. You know, he doesn't put out anything, you know, just because he writes it. You know, he sends it off to beta readers and they tell him whether it's good or not. So, you know, a guy who's done like, you know, sold 30 million books, you know, still has to go to beta readers to get that objective point of view. Now, that tells you something, you know, that nobody, even somebody who's well experienced in the craft, has necessarily a good perspective on how good their craft is in that at that particular moment. So, yeah.
What is it? You were telling me about one really well-known science fiction author that just dropped an entire book.
Oh yeah, Highline sometimes did that. Highline sometimes just dropped a book without any
That's
editing.
who you were talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah. Just went, not good.
Yeah. Yeah. Mama says, Doc, the stuff that you added into the ending since my last beta rating of book 3 was just right. It hit all the right notes without losing the pacing. Yes! Yes! Awesome! Yeah, it took a lot of work. We worked hard on that. As I said, 21 drafts. It took 21 drafts to get there. Hemingway did that once too. What was it? I forget. Call to Arms, I think. He wrote the ending over 100 times. You know, he wrote the ending over 100 times to that book, and you know, it took him over 100 times to get it right. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. Yeah, that's what it takes. So, Mama says it shows you nailed it. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. CPM versus DOS. Maybe I shouldn't publish Martians versus Burger King. Maybe you should, because some really stupid ideas produce some really good books.
That's what I said. But that's a book I what?
It's crazy how many stupid ideas turn out really, really well because it's the execution, not the idea. I mean, ideas can be total garbage and still produce incredibly good books. All right, next one here. Where am I left off here? Okay, start off this. Okay, Mama asks the question, did you find writing a female human protagonist challenging? Not particularly, to be very honest. I know it's a lot of male authors really, really struggle with this. But here's, in my particular case, pretty much grew up in a female-dominated house. So, I knew enough not to do stupid things. There's a lot of male authors that write females in really stupid ways. I'm looking at you, Andy Weir. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Some of the stuff that Andy Weir has written. That man should not be writing about women. Oh, that was so bad. Oh, that was, I forget the name of the novel, but it was one where it's just like, you know, the woman is bouncing down the stairs and it's like, no, don't do that. Dude. No. So writing a woman was not particularly difficult per se, but Farmhouse Theologian, for those of you who don't know, Farmhouse Theologian is a woman. So this is from a woman here. So, quote, blue eyes and her waist to bust ratio was, yeah, just junk like that. I mean, dudes, use some common sense. I mean, I don't even want to read that. I don't want to read that. My female readers don't want to read that. Nobody wants to read that. Unless you're 13 years old. If you're a 13-year-old boy, then maybe, but come on, grow up. Grow up, Andy Weir. Artemis, that was the name of the novel. Artemis. Oh my gosh. So awful. You know, Andy Weir does basically guide to aliens or guys to guys literature kind of okay. He does that okay. He's not the best writer I've ever read. But Artemis, come on. That was so bad and so puerile. Dude has no business writing about women. Well, I also realized too that in writing women, you have to do what you have to do with any character. Any character, you have to do this, which is they have their own wants. They have their own goals. And they may not be the same. Women don't talk about men like this. Like in a locker room situation. It's just
as much as men would like women to want them for their bodies, women really want them for their money.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to repeat that, but yeah, I did not find writing a female human protagonist particularly challenging, but I also was very careful about how I did it too. Okay. Like things she's going to be sensitive about are not going to be the same things men are sensitive about. Bubba homeschool. Okay, I gotta read that one. Bubba homeschool says, dude, that's not junk. That is high art. 13-year-old boys are the pinnacle of artistic importance. Boy. There's some people out there that do think that. But
there's some people who never grow out of that 13-year-olds.
No, they don't. It's pretty crazy, but yeah, there are a lot of people who and male writers are there are male writers that really do a terrible job of writing female characters. There's female writers that do a terrible job of writing male characters too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the whole, well, let's just get together and share our feelings. No, that's not going to happen guy to guy. You're not going to get guys who are going to share their feelings. They might not even talk. And there's a whole bunch of tests that you can do here, to sort of see if your characters fall into some of those really those tropes, for lack of a better word. So yeah, guys are not going to be sharing their feelings with one another, and women are going to be talking about things other than guys. It seems common sense, but you have to tell people this sometimes. All right. A.J. Higgins, composer. In book 1, how did the Mega AI, this is the Sigma, know that the reliquary was a dangerous entity of sorts? Did it register that was a computer before the humans did? No, it just figured it out from the data. The data they sent up was enough that it put 2 and 2 together and got out of Dodge. Okay. So yeah, that's how it figured it out. It's basically, it took all the data, like, for example, the melting human being in the lab. That was probably a good sign that this was not a good thing. And it sort of figured it out on its own. Okay, next one here is from Mama. What was your favorite scenario to write in book 3? I.e., Alicia's therapy sessions, the serial killer's lair, the Space Marine ground fighting? No, the shower scene.
Now, specify that, because that sounds kind of...
When Alicia gets baptized. Alicia gets baptized by Yuri.
Just say for the record, the shower scene is Yuri cleaning off Class D mechanical.
The shower scene is where Yuri quits. She quits and decides better off cleaning off gunk off of Class D heavy loaders with basically a fire hose. And Yuri gets a little revenge, a little bit of retribution. That was my favorite scene to write. It's just because Alicia had it so coming. She had it so coming. Yeah, I loved writing that scene. That scene was so fun to write. Mama goes, Chin uploading all the useless data. Yeah, not so useless. Mama, fantastic answer. But yeah, that scene was I had a lot of joy in writing that scene. AJ Higgins, how effective is the folk unit of writing in different genres? Do you write more of them in prose than in fiction? I'm not quite sure of the question here. How effective is the folk unit? The folk unit is 384 words of writing in different genres. It's about the same in any genre. The folk unit was designed for actually nonfiction, but it can be applied to any genre. Do you write more of them in prose than in fiction? Well, it depends. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It really depends. I don't. Yeah, it works for all forms. It works for all genres. All genres, all fiction, nonfiction. The folk unit is just a way of marking your progress when you write. So. Oh, I see. Okay. He says, I miswrote. Do you write more of it in nonfiction or in fiction is what I meant. Hard to say. Because I don't know if my fiction now is equal to my nonfiction or not in terms of how much I've written. I think I've written something like 300,000 words of nonfiction. So I don't think I've written quite that much yet in the novels, but might be getting close. So it will eventually surpass it. All right. Let's see here. 816. CPM versus DOS for $2. Thank you for the super chat. When can I pre-order part 4? You can pre-order it when it's done and upload it to my publisher, to my distributor. So once it's uploaded to the distributor, it then becomes available for pre-order. Right now, it's still going through the beta reading process. So nothing gets uploaded until it passes the rigorous standards of the beta readers. The beta readers are everything. Without the beta readers, nothing goes forward. Mama asks, we'll take that first. CPM versus DOS, possible ETA. I would say about, let's see, it's supposed to come out in November, August, September. I would say probably September might be when it actually comes out for pre-order. So I'm guessing September. It also depends on how much revision we have to do because of the beta readers too. If it's only just a small amount of revision, then it could come out very fast. If it's a lot of revision, like book 3 was, it could take a long time. So it really just depends upon how much revision the beta readers ask for. And CPM versus DOS, not as long of a wait this time. Yeah, that's because we moved the waiting period onto book 3 because, first of all, book 3 was a very complicated book, very complex book. Book 4 is not going to be nearly as complex. So it's a very straightforward story for the most part. So I'm not expecting that there's going to be huge structural changes to it. So Mama says, gonna find out soon. Kids start school tomorrow. Awesome. Next one here. I see it. There we go. Okay, next question here is from AJ Higgins. He asks, listening to the audiobook, the ending battle skirmish seems shorter than I would have imagined. What was the rationale for that? The rationale for that was to leave you with a gut punch. The audiobook we only have the audiobook right now for book 1. I have done an AI version of an audiobook for book 2, but I haven't released it anywhere. It's an AI slop version. So it's just to get one out there, really. The rationale for having that sort of abrupt cliffhanger ending on book 3 was to give you that gut punch. It's like all the major questions in the book are answered and resolved. Okay. So we're going to leave you with, hey, there's still tension, fighting happening between the colonies. And it's supposed to leave you with, this is how book 1 ends, with death, the angel of death. So That was the rationale, is you're not getting a happy ending in book 1. You're getting a punch to the gut. And it's supposed to leave you going, gasping breath, going, oh my gosh, they've just done gas warfare here. World War I style gas warfare. And you're supposed to be going, oh, this is heavy. You're supposed to get that heavy sense from the abruptness of it. They've just done gas warfare on the other colony, and you're just going, how does this resolve now? So Baba Homeschool, I'm 8 hours into the 9 hours of Reliquary. Okay, cool. AJ Higgins goes, oh, it was a gut punch for sure. Yeah, that's really what you're supposed to feel at the end of this. If you felt that, I did my job. I did my job if you felt that. AJ Higgins, like the main characters die, punch to the gut. Yeah. Yeah, then I did my job. CPM versus DOS, it worked. Yeah. We had a couple people really hate it. They didn't want that heavy ending. They don't like that. We don't use we don't like cliffhanger endings just for the sake of the cliffhanger. We do it when it has a literary point. If it serves a purpose, we will definitely do a cliffhanger. If it doesn't, then we won't. So, but this particular case, it was appropriate for the ending. We have resolved all the major plot questions. So it was was the best way to end that book. CPM versus DOS. I was like, wait, no, this is where it ends? Now I got to pre-order part 2. I love the ending, though. Well, thank you.
That was my exact reaction. Like, what? You just ended it? It ends?
Well, that was Alpha Reader's reaction, too. What? You just ended it like that? Mama goes, all the kids sort of gave an oh and a shiver when they heard your ending of Reliquary. Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to have that response. So, yes. Mama goes, yep, I was incensed.
Yeah.
No, but it was, she goes, I wanted more. Well, this is one of the reasons why we were confident to do an ending like that in book 1, because we had 2 already written. 2 was already written. So, so having 2 already in the bag, we didn't feel too bad about doing that ending. So, yeah, a lot of people wanted more of a gentle lead out, and we're aware that most of the time that's the best way to end a book, is with a decompression section at the end. You have your climax, and then you have a resolution that decompresses and slowly brings the reader back out of your fictional world. That's optimal in most cases, but it's not always the best for the story. So I typically choose what's best for the story. AJ Higgins asks the question, how long has this book series been in the works? Here's the thing about Reliquary of the Dead. It started off as kind of a different book to begin with. I started it in 2018. Did I think about 3 chapters of it and then just dropped it. I didn't work on it again. For years. I picked it up up again in 2024 and finished the whole book in about 3 months. Okay. So the original idea was developed in 2018, but as I said, I didn't write for very long before I dropped it. And then I went back and read what I had, and I liked it. So I finished it. So Mama goes, favorite mechanical from book 3. Favorite mechanical from book 3. Who is my favorite mechanical from book 3?
The class B. Oh, the psycho. They're bogged down, and they can't actually get in to your Buddhist temple, and the one just slips off. And you see people dropping dead off the cliff. I think she's been around.
Well, yeah, there is the psycho. Yeah, she's fun. I don't know. Who's my favorite mechanical from book 3? That's a tough one, because we had some good mechanicals in book 3. Mama goes, if you say F Solon. No, I was not going to say Solon. No, Solon was not going to be in my top favorites. Not Snappy and not Archie either. Archie's interesting, but he's not my favorite. There is. Let's see here. Who is that? I do like Dom. Dom and Tesh. It's a toss-up here. Toss-up between Dom and Tesh. And I like them for different reasons. Tesh is nuts. I mean, Tesh is absolutely bonkers. Yeah, Kia's fun too. I'll give you that. I'll give you Tesh. She says mine is Tesh or Kia. I liked Kia too, very much, but I also like Dom. And we're not actually finished with Dom's story either. Dom has got Dom has a deeper role in this book than you know. Okay. Next one. Farmhouse Theologian for 5 Australian. Thank you for the super chat. Hi, Dr. Falk. I have your new book, but haven't had a chance to read it yet. Looking forward to it. Are your character drawings on your Discord? The Sloppy is. Sloppy's drawing is on the Discord. The other ones aren't. So I haven't posted a lot of them yet. Mama says that B Kia reveal in battle was epic. Oh yeah. She was based. She was a BA. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she is when people ask me whatever became of drone technology. The mechanical's ability to aim and fire at distance is what make drone technology obsolete in my universe. Because you could have a sky full of drones, and you got one android like Kia who's just picking them out like birdshot, and it's just a drone cannot compete.
She'd feel like she was at a carnival.
Oh yeah, she'd be at a carnival. Yeah, absolutely.
Ducks, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Big Kia, that's the reason drone warfare became obsolete, is because of their ability to aim and hit their target, with precision accuracy. So okay, next one here is also from Farmhouse Theologian for $5 Australian. Thank you for the super chat. She says, I loved your female lead in book 1, but was not ready to forgive her in book 2, so this redemption arc needs to hit right. Will she show up in the future? Yes. Yes, she will. She's also going to be a major character in book 6. Okay. She's going to be a major character in book 6. Here's one of the things is a lot of things. One of the deliberate choices we made was we did foreshadow what she was going to do in book 2 in book 1. Okay. We did foreshadow it a lot. A lot of people missed that foreshadowing, and we foreshadowed it like 4 times. We were obvious about it in book 1. Really, really, really obvious.
But the reader didn't think Alicia would take it that far.
No, the reader didn't think Alicia would take it that far, but we really did foreshadow this several times in book 1. Farmhouse Theologian saw the foreshadowing but hated it. Laugh out loud. Oh yeah. Well, some people just didn't see it. You at least saw it. We had one reader go to us, I can't understand how this could have happened. When he's in book 2, it's like it was all foreshadowed in book 1. All of it. Mama said, I picked it up after rereading it. Yeah. Farmhouse Theologian, I hated the female gaze. It was icky. It was icky. I'll agree there. Mama goes, it was how she always defended him. Oh yeah. Yeah, she always defended him. That was the other foreshadowing. You had the promise in the name, Stripes, as being someone of 2 colors. You had the gaze. You had where she defends him twice when he's kind of being a jerk. So yeah, it was all there. But a lot of people didn't see it. So again, you trust your reader to pick up the subtext and the foreshadowing, but they don't always do it. You are very fortunate as a writer if your reader picks up 60% of your shadowing and subtext. If your reader is picking up 60%, you're doing really well. Nobody is going to pick up all of it, especially if you're a heavily contextualized writer. If you're depending a lot on subtext and context as a writer, your readership is going to, some of them are going to get it. Some of them are not. Look, The Lord in Steel and Sky. The character's name is on the cover. Yes, it's an all contextual, subtextual character. The professional reader didn't get it. So, you can only do so much as a writer. But yeah, there were people that were that just did not catch it.
I still don't get how that guy didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't understand either. Pharmos theologian, the blue eyes was too obvious for me. The fact that Pierre was the only one who picked up on that gene was, you know, that happens. But that happens. This was called a social contract.
Yeah.
It's called a social contract. Everyone agrees not to notice. Jack Ray asked, professional readers, someone got paid to read? In a way, yeah. What you do is if you want sometimes to get a review, that's more of a professional review. What you'll sometimes do is submit a book to a book contest. And some book contests offer a critical review where one of their professional readers will read it. They don't get paid a lot to do this. Like, I think they get paid something like $30-$40 for that. But, you know, it covers their costs.
No.
Our beta readers are not paid. Beta readers are free. They're always free. And you pay that forward. So basically, my beta readers read for me. I beta read for others. It's one of those, you know, where we all cooperate with each other to make things. So beta readers don't get paid, and the paid beta readers are usually not very good. Critical readers are different. They're editorial. Okay. That's their job. So no, we don't pay our beta readers. No one should ever pay a beta reader. People hire beta readers off of Fiverr and get scammed all the time. But if you want, say, professional editorial reviews, that's different. Okay. And frankly, that cost, again, that there's more that goes into that than just the editorial review. You're also submitting at that point for a book award. So that's different. What you're not paying for really is the editorial review as much as the book award, entrance into the book award. You just get the editorial review as a side of a bonus. Farmhouse theologian says, yeah, the social contract. Everyone agrees not to notice made sense, but frustrating. I got the feeling you have a sense of that in your field. You see it a lot, actually, in small communities. You see this a lot in small communities where, like, I had a friend who lived through World War II in Japan. And one of the things she said was men would bathe out on the street naked. And everyone agrees you didn't see anything. Because there's no running water, there's no proper bathing facilities. That's a social contract. Everyone agrees you don't see anything. You just keep looking forward and you don't turn your head. That's a social contract. And that can happen, manifest in many ways. In the case of, say, the Glees colony, the fact that a lot of kids had weird blue eyes, everyone agreed not to see anything. So, Mama says, I've seen it in churches. Yeah, I've seen it in churches too. I've seen it in churches as well. Yeah. It's very common. Very common. It's just part of human nature. But that's why we write these books, to expose human nature. Tell the truth through fiction. And frankly, the truth is weirder than fiction. You know, you can get away with an awful lot more in fiction, but not too much. You cannot do all the truth in fiction because no one will believe it. Pharmos theologian says, one thing though, the colony should have had more angry husbands. the husbands were part of the social contract until it wasn't. When the genetic testing was redone, the social contract was broken. And then you did have angry husbands. A lot of them. But you don't see that in the novel because that all takes place after Pierre gets extradited. After he gets recalled. All of that comes crashing down. See, this is what's, when you have those communal lies, people will believe the lie to maintain the cohesion of the community. Knowing it's not true. This is the thing about communal lies. Communal lies are one of those things that an entire community will maintain a lie for the sake of the cohesion of the community. And then when it all comes crashing down, that's when sort of the S hits the fan.
A lot of people just don't think about where eye color comes from.
Yeah, people don't think about it. No, people don't think about it.
And they would have thought that there was enough recessive genes.
Farmhouse Theologian goes, I don't know. I feel they should have figured it out even with a social contract, but I'm now arguing based upon my own hubris. Well, yeah, here's the thing. Guys sometimes get told this, okay? You go on a date with a woman for the first time, and one of the trick questions a woman will ask is, what color is my eyes? Now, smart guys will look at a woman's eyes before asking her out on a date. Okay? But there's a lot of guys out there that don't. There's a lot of guys that get caught flat-footed when they get asked, well, what's the color of your date's eyes? So it's very tricky if you happen to have someone you're dating with hazel, because those eyes can change color depending on the light. But yeah, a lot of guys will not notice the color of their woman's eyes. Mama goes, I get why you didn't include that in the book, because it just wasn't the point of the story. It was peripheral. Yeah, it was. Pharmaceutical P.S. Trick questions are toxic. Yeah, they are kind of. But I get your point. Yeah, it makes more sense. Yeah. Why press something here where it's just going to cause strife in the community?
Well, there was also not a lot they could do about it.
Yeah, there's not a lot they could do about it either.
Because the head of the colony at that
Mm-hmm.
time probably knew, but didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
It was a very toxic management.
Yeah, toxic management. There was a lot of contributing factors to it. The fact that they hadn't had a live birth in 5 years. And then the sudden baby boom. No one was questioning it. Yeah, no one was going to question a sudden baby boom after no one had a live birth for 5 years.
Yeah, and that's another unspoken social agreement when live births are necessary.
Yeah.
But rare is, you had that in Rome.
Yeah.
Who the child's father was less important than having a child.
Yeah.
It was only very important on the colony because of you had such a restricted.
Mrs. Producer here points out, in ancient Rome, who the father of a child was less than important than a noble having a child, because there was a failure to produce live births among the Roman aristocracy. But in the case of, say, the colony, that's more important to know who the father was for genetic purposes, because of the potential problem of inbreeding. So,
you know, Mama's thing, better inbred than dead.
yeah.
But you have that. You've always had that in a lot of small communities.
Yeah.
Small rural communities.
Yeah, Mama says, oh my, they were thinking, quote, better inbred than dead. Yeah. I mean, they weren't thinking inbred, but they were thinking better births than, they were just happy to see it. You know, after half a decade of no live births, and now you've got a baby boom. Yeah. That's, they didn't question it. They didn't question it because the doc, you know, Doc Jones, he said, oh yeah, the all those parents are correct.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, Hans was messing with the files, but yeah, Doc Jones was in on it. And Doc Jones was very popular with Governor Gardner.
It was also trusting authority.
Yeah, yeah, authority issues. You had the perfect blend of toxic authority, toxic breeding patterns, all of that. All, I mean, it was the perfect storm. Okay, moving on here. Annie Manuel asks the question, how do you experience your characters? Do they talk to you? No, they don't talk to me. They talk to each other. I use a process called fictive dreaming, where I will often, you know, see my characters in my dreams, and they're talking to each other, and they're acting out the scene, and then I just go and type it up.
Yeah, and Mama's got an interesting point on the last one. No wonder the governor didn't want Alicia getting in there as a doctor.
Yeah. Mama says, no wonder the governor didn't want Alicia getting in there as a doctor. Yeah. Which
is why he was very happy when she became part of the problem.
Yeah.
Instead of the answer.
Yeah. That's, yeah. And as Mrs. Or Alpha Reader just said, this is why he was relieved when she got in there. She became part of the problem, not the solution. So. Dylan Biggs says, so you just daydream the scene? No, I night dream the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually dream it when I sleep. Okay, next one here. Let's see here. 840, I think, is where I left off. Yeah, I got to kind of bounce between beginning and end of the stream here. So it's like, I want to thank Jack Ray for the 5 Egypt in the Bible memberships. Thank you for the support of the channel. We really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Did I skip one here by mistake? No, it doesn't look like it. Mama asks, is quote worthless middle manager an insult written by a personal experience? I've had so many worthless middle managers, it's hard to keep track of them all. Yeah, there's a lot of experience that went into that. Okay, next one here. It's also from Mama. Was it intentional having Alicia's character arc be almost parallel with her acceptance of Scatterbug she formerly hated? It's part of it. That has to be part of her redemption. She hates machines. She hates robots. She hates androids. She hates Scatterbugs. So, and she treats them badly because she hates them. So her acceptance of Scatterbugs has to be part of her redemption arc, seeing that she was wrong, that she held a belief that was wrong, and she needs to repent, go the other direction. Repentance, imagine that. Thank you for that super chat, Mama, for $2. Thank you so very much. For the record, you slammed book 3's ending home. Lovely. I love hearing that. Bubba Homeschool asks, when is Velocirabbit 2 coming out? Haven't worked on any music compositions for a long time. I've been too busy with other projects, so I haven't made any plans to work any more on my music. So yeah, no plans on that at the moment. I did work on a few songs for Velocirabbit 2, but I haven't finished the album, and I probably won't for a long time to come. Bubba Homeschool asks, where is the SG? The SG is sitting beside me. That's where it's sitting. It's got to stand right beside the computer here. Still have it. Still plunk on it. Ooh, okay. Bubba Homeschool. Better Claudia Blackroll, Aaron Soon in Harscape, or Vala in Stargate SG-1? Ooh, I don't know. Wow. That's tough. Yeah, I haven't seen, I don't remember too much from Farscape or SG-1s, honestly. I know who Claudia Black is. She's a heck of a chain smoker. Wow. Man, that woman smokes. That's why her voice is so gravelly. She is an incredible chain smoker. But yeah, I saw her part recently, and man, her voice is wrecked, absolutely wrecked. So, but I don't know which one I would say is a better part. Jack Ray, dang, I did not need to know that. Well,
did you want to take the one from 817?
817?
Mama asked, is the character on the cover of book 4 first introduced in book 3?
Oh, yeah, I must have missed that. I'm having to bounce back and forth here, so I might miss some tonight. Okay, 817, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. 817. Okay, Mom asks, is the character on the cover of book 4 first introduced in book 3? Yes. Absolutely. The character on the cover of book 4 is introduced in book 3. Yes, and you will find her by name in book 3. So, absolutely, she's in book 3. She doesn't get a big part in book 3, but she's first introduced in book 3. So yes, she's there. That's one of the things we like to do is we don't typically, all of our sequels are going to have a character that has been previously introduced elsewhere. Okay. So our main characters, Alicia is first introduced in book 1. Well, Neva's an original character to book 2, but Pierre isn't. Pierre comes along for the ride. That's the connection to book 1 is Pierre. Book 3, you've got that connection with Alicia again, connecting her to book 1 and 2. Book 4 has a connection to book 3. Book 5 has a connection to book 2. And book 6 has a connection to books 1, 2, and 4. Yes, 3 as well. Might as well go for the broke here. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
CPM. Sloppy is in all 9 as well.
CPM versus Dust. Sloppy is in all 9 as well. Well, yeah. Sloppy is a chaos monster. Spoiler! All right, moving on here. Chaos Angel. I love that. CPM versus DOS, Chaos Angel. Check something here too. Okay, and back. Next one is where's the next question here? Jack Ray, who has the weird eyes? Hans Pohl. He has weird blue eyes. Melissa has weird blue eyes. 30% of the newborn kids in the last 5 years of the story leading up to the beginning of book 2 have weird blue eyes. Very distinctive blue. There is let me put it this way. It's a very, very rare phenotype. It does exist. It does exist, this kind of blue. And when you see someone with these weird blue eyes, it stands out. Now, when I worked at, I used to work at a packing plant that did peppers, tomatoes, and cucumbers. Okay. And the supervisor and her daughter worked there. And they had weird green eyes. I mean, the brightest emerald green you can possibly imagine.
Were they Irish?
No. They weren't Irish. But
A lot of Irish people.
yeah. But the green eyes you see among Irish, a lot of them are, say, kind of a muddy green. And those are fairly typical green eyes. These were not muddy green. These were like bright emerald green.
Yeah, I've seen people with them.
I mean, it was crazy how, it was weird green eyes. But there's also some people that have weird blue eyes. In which, and what we mean by weird blue eyes is that most people who have blue eyes, they tend to have this kind of a light sky blue. But you do get blue eyes that are occasionally, I'm going to hold up here an ointment ball, that are like kind of like that color of blue. Okay. When you see somebody who has blue of that color of eyes, it's very striking. Very striking. You can't unsee it once you see it. It's almost an ultramarine or a Prussian blue. What? Dune blue. A bit like that, yeah. It's almost like a Prussian blue. These eyes, this phenotype is a Prussian blue. Farmhouse Theologian says green eyes are amazing. Very jealous if I could pick, but luckily I don't think too much about eye color unless I'm reading about it in characters. Well, here's one of the things I wanted to do with that too, is I wanted to inverse that trope. It's a trope, okay? It's a trope to talk about eye color, and it's a badly done trope because it generally doesn't serve the story in any meaningful way. Okay, now I've got two uses of eye color here that apply to the story. One, you've got, say, among humans, the human colony, this as a sign of super breeding, hypergamy and super breeding in this one colony, and that's sort of an evidence for that, and that plays a part in the story. But you also have you also have the idea of, okay, each line of androids has a unique eye color that's distinct to their ship, and that also plays a role in the storytelling. So I wanted to flip that trope on its head. I love inverting tropes. You get a good trope going. People love tropes, but they can get tired quickly. And the best way to freshen up a good trope is to just flip it on its head. Invert it in some way. Animal Newell asks, were they from North and South Asia? Not the people I knew with green eyes. No, these were not. These were not people from South Asia. So they were white.
Some people in South Asia have the green eyes?
I guess so.
I hadn't heard of that.
Mama says, Doc, remember how I was nitpicking Pierre having brown eyes despite being blonde? A lot of people have that actually genetic combination. Yeah, that's actually not that uncommon in a combination. And he had kind of a sandy blonde anyway. He's not a blonde. He's kind of a sandy blonde. So that's really that's actually more common than people think. The whole combination of a lot of, say, Scandinavians will have blonde hair and blue eyes. That's a very common combination, but blonde hair and brown eyes exist too. So it's not that unusual a combination. So Farmhouse Theologian says, I love how you invert tropes without it being obtuse. Thank you. That's a sign of good writing. So I appreciate that comment. CPM versus DOS says, brown hair and blue eyes runs in my family. Yeah, you can. And the inverse can happen too, where it's brown eyes and, say, blonde hair. So that happens too. Happens in my family. But we do have people in my family who have blue eyes and blonde hair, or sorry, brown hair. So, or brown eyes and blonde hair.
Haven't met your whole family.
No, it's on my mother's side. You wouldn't have ever met them. So, on my mother's father's side, yeah, he had blonde hair. He had sandy blonde hair and brown eyes. And he was from Sweden.
Yeah. The farmhouse makes a good point. A lot of writers invert tropes in ridiculous ways.
Farmhouse Theologian says here, some writers invert tropes in ridiculous ways that make it too obvious, and often in a way that is philosophically subversive against the reader, which becomes insulting. It can be, yeah, I agree. Yeah, you want to do it tactfully, you want to do it tastefully. But I also think too, you can really sort of liven things up by it as well. Like one of I mean, there's some tropes I hate, and I wouldn't mind. Like for example, there's a common trope, enemies to lovers. I hate that trope so much. It always to me feels so unearned. I hate the enemies to lovers. The lovers to enemies trope I'm fine with, because no one ever writes that. And frankly, there's a lot more tension there and interest. Frankly, it's a lot more interesting, a lot more realistic that a relationship degrades to enemies. That happens all the time. Enemies to lovers, that's pretty dang rare. And
enemies to lovers to
yeah, enemies, yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. CPM versus DOS, enemies to lovers to enemies. Oh yeah, some of that stuff gets ridiculous. Mama says more common. Oh yeah. Yeah, lovers to enemies is a lot more common. A lot more common, a lot more human. That's very human. That's the truth of our world, is that lovers turn into enemies. Mama says, Taylor Swift calling Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Why would anybody date her?
Oh, I wouldn't. I know. I don't understand why anyone would date her either. It's just like, yeah, you're asking to end up being in a song by dating her. Is like, no. No, dude, no. Farmhouse Theologian says, enemies to lovers is a guilty pleasure of mine. If I want to watch mindless slop, lovers to enemy is too normal. I want to escape that. Yeah, well.
That's probably actually why it sucks.
I think that's probably why it's a very popular trope. But some of the best drama was actually done with the lovers to enemies thing. Historically speaking, not good romance. It's not good romantasy. It's terrible romantasy, but it has made very, very good drama. A lot of court dramas are based upon that idea. So a lot of true crime drama is based upon that idea too. So it is very dramatic, but again, it's not a feel-good thing. If you don't want it, I mean, you'll never see that in a romantasy book. But it is. Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Smith 2005. Yeah, that's an example. Yeah, that's an example.
Oh, that was a great movie.
Mama says, I prefer Friends to Lovers, more realistic. Yeah, this is more realistic, honestly.
Yeah, enemies to even worse enemies. Yeah. And that's kind of the Spider-Man thing.
CPM versus DOS, enemies to even worse enemies. Now that's a classic. It is actually. Yes, the original Spider-Man was like that. Yeah, there's a lot of I think Gundam Wing did that too. There's a lot of it where the enemies, they start off enemies and it just escalates. So you can get some really good drama out of that too.
But then you've also got an actual real life trope of just a complete and utter stranger decides they hate you. And you're like, who are you?
Next one here is from Mama. We know that you like mentioning bunnies in your stories, but will shrimp ever get a nod? I don't know if the shrimp will ever get a nod. They're very unassuming. Just bunnies are fun. Bunnies, people can relate to bunnies. They don't relate to shrimp in quite the same way.
They just kind of stay in the tank and
Yeah,
chill.
yeah. They just kind of stay in the tank and chill.
I mean, you could add drama. You could buy the beta and drop it in there.
Yeah, we don't like that kind of drama. That's not good kind of drama.
Actually, don't do that to living beings in our house.
Yeah, putting a predator in a shrimp tank is not a good drama. Mama says, trick question. You mentioned them in book 1 obliquely. You're not talking about those artificial shrimp, are you? The ones made out of plant protein? Ugh. Ick. Ick. It's as shrimple as that. Oh, bad pun. Bad pun. Mama says the shrimp shaped fake food at New Year's. Yeah. I'm still getting a lot of ads right now for the what's it called now? Almost meat or something like that. Getting a ton of those ads at the moment. I don't eat that stuff. That stuff's gross.
Fake shrimp.
Fake shrimp.
Never seen it or had it.
Well,
Fake
they don't make it yet, but they would. I mean, they're already making fake beef. They do make fake crab.
Yeah, and there's like
Yeah.
half the states in the U.S. have forbidden fake.
Yeah, the almost meat. Yeah, that. I mean, the only time I've ever had tasted one of those burgers, I couldn't. It was not good. Not good. I don't know how people eat that stuff. All right, I think we're at the end of the questions. Did we miss any?
No.
Okay, it's 10:30, and we are at the end of the questions.
So, anybody got any more?
Anyone got any more? Because I think we've pretty much burned through them. Let's see here. So, yeah, that's the last question. So, tapped out here? Yeah, well, I think everyone's tapped out.
This has been good though.
It's been good. Yeah, it's been a good, fun little live stream. Yeah. We got to talk about all sorts of the inner workings of the books, so that was kind of fun too. You guys got a lot of sneak peeks into what's upcoming as well. So that's also, so you guys do know that because we've talked now about a little bit about book 4, 5, and 6. There's a trajectory happening here. So, Farmhouse Theologian says, when I read it, I will review it. Please do. Yeah, please leave us reviews on Amazon for the books you've read, because that really helps us. More so than even Goodreads. Goodreads doesn't count for much anymore. But Amazon, if you get some reviews on Amazon, that really helps us a lot. We really do depend on Amazon reviews. CPM versus DOS. Will book 4 have even more action as indicated by the cover? What do you say, Alpha Reader? Mm.
Yes, I like
There will be action.
Well, instead of to the Bat Cave, to the Beta Cave.
Mama says, to the Beta Cave, Beta Woman. Good. That implies action. Well, there will be some action. There will be some deaths. Because what's a good action flick without a good death? So should we put up a little note? Which character should we kill next? A little survey. I wonder if I can do that. Can I do that?
Who do you want to kill off next?
Yeah. I'm just gonna put.
There's still a particular death in the floor that I'm still upset about.
Okay. All right. Pierre, Alicia, Neva.
Yeah, Mama's right. You can't kill off Neva.
Sloppy.
No.
It's just a poll. Doesn't mean I'm going to go with it. What? Can't I put the poll on? All right. Nobody, Mrs. Producer strongly does not want me to kill. But if I put Chin on there, everyone will vote for Chin.
Well, yeah.
I've got something special reserved for Chin. I got something very special for Chin. I know when he's going to die.
Mama says Chin has deserved death for 3 books now. How many more, Doc?
Mama says here, Chin has deserved death for 3 books now. How many more, Doc? Some more. I will leave it at that. Some more. I've got something very special planned for Chin. Chin is not getting away with this. Who else should I? Peter and Lisa. All right. Okay, who's to be the next character to die? There we go. Oh, dang, not Vladimir.
Oh.
Ooh, interesting poll.
So I'd have to vote for one of these.
Yeah.
To see the results.
Yeah. Well, I can give you the running results if you want.
Yeah, because I don't want any of them. I typed in where's the none of the above bullet?
The above. We got 3 votes for Vladimir. 3 for Vladimir, 1 for Alicia.
Yeah.
None for Sloppy or Pierre.
Yeah. Well, you don't want Vladimir to die. It's just he's the lowest on the list of people I like.
Yeah, well, I mean, I happen to really like that character, but Farmhouse Theologian says, I haven't emotionally invested in Vlad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably more of the like here. CPM versus DOS. Oh, dang, not Vladimir. Yeah, pretty much everyone's voting for Vladimir to get
Yeah.
By the way, we will not be following this poll. Okay? So that was just more for fun than anything else. I don't even know. Vlad is a red shirt, sort of. He's not a red shirt. No, he's doing the best he can. Yeah, he's doing the best he can. CPM versus DOS. Vlad ended up being a better guy than I thought he would be in the story. He is. Yeah, he is. He's one of the few decent human beings on that colony. Farmhouse Theologians. If you kill the female robot lead of book 2, it would be emotionally destructive in a powerful way. Do you have plans for her future? Yes, I do. Neva has a future. She's going to be walking a dark path. And that's all I will say about Neva's future. She's going to be walking a dark path. So she's not getting killed off for sure, because Neva's got a future. And as I said, she's walking a dark path, and you won't see that till book 7. Harry Stark, any thoughts of creating graphic novel adaptation of the books using generative AI? Not a chance. Nope, not going to do that. That's not a chance kind of thing. So yeah, we're not going to be doing that. It's one thing to use generative AI for art assets. It's another thing to construct an entire graphic novel from that. So that's not going to happen. So we are not going to permit that. So if you want to do, if someone wants to do a graphic novel adaptation, they're going to have to get out their pencils and ink pens and do it the old-fashioned way. Well, they don't even have to really take out the ink pens. They can do it over using a vector program. They can do that too. But generative AI for a graphic novel, that's going to be off the table. Farmhouse Theologian that says anything but a dark path. I generally loved Neva. We all love Neva. We all love Neva. Neva is awesome, but she's got to walk a dark path. That's coming for her. And it's even alluded to. It's foreshadowed in book 2. That is foreshadowed in book 2. Final Theologian, my all-time favorite character. Oh yeah, she's awesome. I love Neva. Neva is sort of my is one of my favorite characters. I absolutely love Neva. Everyone loves Neva. Neva gets stuff done. Neva is a good leader. She's a very good leader. She's very courageous. But she's also been touched by destiny. And that destiny is going to lead her to a very dark place. So, as again, that has been foreshadowed in book 2, at the very last page of book 2, very last paragraph of book 2. It's been foreshadowed. So yeah, there's a dark path for Neva, but and a dark path that takes her into a dark place, and she is going to have to wrestle with that, and that's good. That's a good thing. We want our characters to wrestle with tough things, with difficult stuff. That's how we create great characters. So you want that in your characters, to wrestle with hard things, and sometimes they'll make the right decisions, sometimes they won't. That's up to the character. But that's in her future. That's in her future. And that will probably come out a lot in book 7. So that's what we're looking at for the trajectory for Neva's character. Is she's going to make a return in book 6. She shows up in a cameo in book 5. She has a major role in book or minor role in book 6, and a major role in book 7. So Mama said, I just reread the last 2 paragraphs. Sad faces. Yeah. Yeah. That has not come to fruition yet. That has not come to fruition. It's going to. It's yeah, if you want to glimpse into what Neva's future is going to be like, read those last 2 paragraphs again. Yeah, dark portents. Exactly. Yeah. So don't be surprised when it happens. Okay? It has been foreshadowed. Yeah, has been foreshadowed. So yeah, we're not done with Neva. We're not done with any of the major characters.
Yeah, poor Vlad. Nobody's really emotionally involved.
Yeah, no one's emotionally attached to Vlad.
We'll work on it.
Don't tell me what to do. Okay. I wouldn't ever tell my readers what to do. If it comes as a surprise, okay. It comes as a surprise. But yeah, she's got a dark path. And she's going to have to walk it. And that's life. Our characters, we don't cover our characters in cotton batton. There have been writers that have done that. And they've gutted their stories as a result. Yeah, we don't want to gut our characters. We want our characters to really struggle, because if they win the struggle, they've accomplished something, and that's always a good thing.
Yes.
Mama says, I love Vlad. You gave us a Sophie's Choice. Yeah, I did. Yeah. We gave you a Sophie's Choice.
Well, Harry Stark has a good question.
Harry Stark asks, how is the Christian worldview apparent in book 3? It's all over the place. It's all over the place in book 3. Scripture's dumped all over it. I mean, you might not have seen it, but there's a lot of scripture in book 3. Like, for example, there's a adaptation of "We wrestle not against flesh and bone, but against principalities and powers and darkness in high places." So there's that theme already in there. There's the, how do we do repentance? How do we do redemption? These are very strong Christian themes. You've got a monumental struggle against good and evil in here. So there's a lot of Christian worldview.
The struggle she has in what does forgiving somebody who hurt you.
Yeah, forgiveness.
And they didn't turn into a good person.
Yeah.
How do you forgive somebody who's still...
How do you let go of a hurt where the person wasn't sorry?
Yeah.
How do you let go of a hurt where the person who hurt you isn't sorry, doesn't care, and there's no way to reconcile?
Yeah.
How do you do that? That's a very hard thing.
Yeah.
But it's also a very Christian theme.
We're taught about repentance in churches just doesn't apply to real life situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's about letting that person go because you don't want to carry them around with you. Yeah.
It's about being wrong. There's themes in there about, hey, you know what? There's a greater reality out there than you understand.
But Yuri is also a great character.
Yuri's a great character, yeah.
Yuri is about setting healthy boundaries.
Yep.
You can care about a person.
Yep.
And she lives with Alicia.
Yeah.
They're roommates.
Yeah.
But Alicia keeps crossing a line and Yuri says, enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Yuri is all about, as Mrs. Producer just said, setting healthy boundaries. Very healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
She has to put up with a lot from Alicia, and there's a line. And when that line gets crossed, she has to set up boundaries.
And she tells Alicia to her face,
Mm-hmm.
You're not nice when you get angry, and you get angry a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. She calls out Alicia and says, hey, you're not very nice when you're angry, and you're angry a lot. So yeah, there's a lot of Christian themes in book 3, a lot of them. So Mama says here, I have to get the kids up in 6 hours. Sleep might be helpful. Good night, folks. Well, good night to you too. Glad you could be with us tonight. And we're probably going to wrap it up here too, because I think we don't have any more questions, and nobody is sort of really participating in the live chat here. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to call it a night too. Sound good? All right. I want to thank all of you who joined us tonight. This was your big chance to ask me to spill all the tea on our book here on Lord of Steel and Sky. We want to thank you, all of you who bought the book, who read it, and who's left reviews. We do appreciate more reviews. I think we only have 2 reviews of this book right now on Amazon, because you use a lot more. So if you do read it, please leave a review. And, honest reviews are always appreciated. We also want to thank our beta readers. Again, another shout out to the beta readers. beta readers make good books. There's no great authors, only great beta readers. And I believe that thoroughly. So great beta readers make excellent books, and we appreciate the tireless efforts of our beta readers. You guys make the books magic. So with that said, we're going to call it a night. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for participating in these very
Is it alpha, beta, delta?
It's alpha, beta, gamma.
Okay, so these people are gamma readers.
People are gamma readers, huh? Okay. So anyway, I want to wish you all a very, very good night. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time on Ancient Egypt and the Bible. Good night, everyone.